Hi, I'm Brian O'Loughlin. I live here in Capanarigad or Sunken, right on the edge of the Bog of Allen. I'm a bog oak sculptor, so I work within the natural forms of the bog oak, which is an amazing wood that's actually been buried in the bog. It's almost like a piece of coal. It's beautiful wood. There's loads of actual natural character in it. And my job as a sculptor really is to bring out the best of those pieces of wood. Traditionally, I got a lot of it around the actual open bog. Now, I get a lot of the bog oak from farmers' fields around the edge of the bog, primarily during reclamation, where they're actually digging it up, they're reclaiming the land. Bog oak will actually, over years, continually rise to the surface. You'll have a few pieces protruding. It's a byproduct. It's dumped in the ditches. It's in their way. Years afterwards, you'll often see it re-emerging, almost as if the wood is being reborn. Bog oak is actually normal oak. It's the same as all the trees that we have nowadays. It was actually growing in Ireland along the edges of these bogs, and as the bogs developed, a lot of the trees actually fell into the bog, and as it was covered by the peat is anaerobic, so there's no air, which means that the wood was preserved as it sank down into the bog. There's tannin in oak, and the tannin reacts with the iron in the bog and turn the wood black. You do get bog yew, bog pine and bog oak, but oak is unique because it's the only one that actually blackened in the bog. And a lot of times with a bigger piece, as you go further in, it actually gets lighter. But it's a lovely transition from jet black to a lovely warm amber colour. It's really only, I think, since the 80s and maybe the 90s that people became aware of the uniqueness and the beauty of bog oak. People didn't like the bog oak because the wood, it's very strong, it's very hard, but unfortunately it's not structurally sound. But when it's worked and cleaned and shined, you can see it will end up as a diamond. You know? I came across bog oak maybe 30 years ago, and I went out across the bog with a friend and we found a few pieces. They were quite gnarly and lumpy, and I remember bringing them home. Basically, I just cleaned them down. But I knew there was more to it. I appreciated the uniqueness and the strong but delicate, the dark but beautiful concept of the wood. It's not just the colour, it's the character, it's the history. It was a growing tree here 5,000 years ago. And now in a totally different world, it's come back in a totally different form. By and large, I try and keep it minimum 5 years before I work it. Often up to 10 years if I can. It's very labour intensive. And it does take a lot of time. The start of the process is probably the most exciting part because that's when, you know, you're going to make the breakthrough. You've got the piece that you want. You see the results quicker. Once you have it carved in the form that you want, as you go on then the process slows down because it's about the sanding, and there's 8 different stages of sanding. It's slower, but that's where you're going to get the quality finish, and this is what really brings the bog oak to life. Then you polish it up and then you assemble it. That it's the wood that's actually shining, not the wax polish that you put on it. Inspiration can come from anywhere, often from the wood itself, sometimes from just a thought, or something that you've seen, and quite a bit of poetry. I awoke to the dead of dark, not day, There's a line from Jared Manley Hopkins talking about his depression. So while there was a sun in the sky, everything else around it was black. I mean, I've done smaller pieces, like from that size, up to quite monumental pieces, up to 30 feet high. At the minute I'm working on a Children of Lir. You've got to be flexible and fluid in your design and your work on it, but I like that process. It will often vary from what my initial intentions were. The four swans are actually part of the same piece of wood, but they're separated and then reassembled together. Where you've got the four swans at the front and then the profile of Lir at the back where all the tails group together. They're quite dramatic, I have to say. To actually finish and have created something that's delicate, that's unique, and quite honestly, in most cases, quite beautiful. Like, it is a lovely feeling of an achievement and an accomplishment. Not getting caught up too much with what I'm cutting away. The important thing is what I'm being left with. There's no wood like it in the world as far as I'm concerned.